The storms your husband never dealt with didn't disappear. You're living inside of some of them right now.
Welcome to The Couple Cure.
This whole series has been about having your husband build 7 things: a circle of support, a mentor, knowing how to get rest, starting a practice of reflection, building a daily spiritual practice, and where he can, getting as healthy as he can be. And this is where I tell you what all of it was actually for. It was preparation for storms, loss, change, the things that fall apart in everyday life. Here's why this matters to you specifically. A man who's never learned to face those storms doesn't escape it. He carries it with him, and what he is carrying with him continues to land on you. I want to show you the difference between a man who's facing his storms and a man who's still running from them, because you can see it and it changes everything for you. There's also a reason you want him to go through these hard things, even when every instinct says to protect him from it. Let me tell you what this looked like in my own marriage from the years before I ever got it right. I was divorced at 25. I lost my military career when I was 26. I was $15,000 in debt. And shortly after Lori and I married, I lost both my closest grandfather and a good friend of mine. With those losses sort of stacked on top of one another, the environment that Lori came into was one where I was running from the pain in my life. I did not know how to process that pain. I could talk about it from the standpoint of blaming the events on other people, the loss of my marriage, the loss of my military career. I could blame those on other people. Being a victim of the storms of life put Lori in an environment where I was unable to face my own contribution. I was not talking about how I had been involved in those situations. And so when she would bring me something where I had hurt her, I wanted to avoid it. I didn't know how to handle the pain. I didn't know how to step into those challenging conversations because I had been running from all of those conversations prior. For you as the betrayed wife, if your husband is not facing his pain, he's looking for a way to stay numb. What I want you to hear is that none of that pain went away. I just buried it. And the people closest to me lived with a man who was numb, checked out, and not really there. When Lori came into the marriage, I was still carrying those losses that I hadn't faced. That wasn't her fault, but she felt every bit of it. What I think is when a man hides from his storms, the woman next to him is really feeling them. Here's how those storms show up in men who won't face them. Not as grief, but as numbness, distance, resentment, a shorter temper than the moment calls for. When I was that disconnected, Lori was left to deal with things that I was simply avoiding. When she was trying to make dinner, I was sitting on the computer. When she was cleaning up after dinner, I was doing something else. When I was at work, I was putting our financial future at risk because I was using while I was at work. And that sense of pursuing just my own entertainment or distraction, I was not invested in the relationship. We would do things together, but mentally I was not there. I was doing those things with her to just continue the distraction most of the time. I was allowing things like the state of the house to fall on Lori. I ignored what needed to be done and assumed that she would take care of it instead of doing something to take care of those things. I also assumed that she did not need my help with the church ministry we were doing or with the daily tasks. I came home from work and felt like it was okay for me to just tune everything out. And so I was not there for her because I had trained myself to run from those things that felt uncomfortable to me. He'll survive the storm. Most men do. But surviving it and growing from it are two very different things. And you can feel the difference living with him. A man who buried a loss is carrying weight that he won't name. And it comes out sideways on you, on your children, on the people around you. And so really what you're looking for isn't whether or not he's sad, it's whether or not he's present. Is he checked out? Is he still distracting himself? Is he grieving it, or is he running from it? You're not imagining the distance. That intuition is right. The hardest part to watch, the thing that keeps a man stuck the longest, is what he does with the blame. For years, I made my losses somebody else's fault, anybody else's fault but my own, especially the divorce. I needed it to be her, not my anger, not my immaturity, not all of my distractions and flawed expectations. I definitely played the victim card with my first marriage. I had a lot of expectations about how that relationship was supposed to work. A lot of expectations that I didn't talk about, a lot of expectations that were out of line or wrong. And I got angry about them. Instead of talking about my anger after that relationship, what I talked about was how my ex-wife didn't live up to my expectations, or how she had things going on in her life that were unacceptable to me. And that continued, blaming Lori to make it her fault. As I've said many times, when she confronted me in 2010, I told the worst lie of them all, which was that it was all her fault. I chose to go back to porn. I chose to go back to my addiction, and she had nothing to do with it. I could have sought all kinds of help, but what I really wanted to do was go back to what I wanted. Knowing that I've played the victim card in the past, continuing to play the victim card is going to put the blame on Lori. Your husband is going to put the blame on you because he cannot or will not look at his contribution to the storms that have come through his life, how he has avoided those storms, or if he has actually faced those storms. And so for you, the betrayed wives, why this matters is a man playing the victim will often try to hand you the blame for his mood, for his distance, for his losses. And while you can have compassion for what he's been through, you don't have to accept responsibility for it. His storms are not your fault, and they're not yours to fix. What actually got me unstuck, what actually helped me, wasn't someone protecting me from the hard question. It was finally facing it. What was my role in these storms? You're probably not the person that can make him ask that question. You can't grieve his losses for him. You can't do his work. You as betrayed wives have been harmed. There's been real abuse. And that's not your fault. And it deserves its own support and its own healing. You have been through your own storms. And if storms cost this much, I know you think it might be helpful to shield him from the next one. But here's why the opposite is true. I see this on both sides, where both people want to protect one another. They want to smooth it over. They want to keep the peace. They don't want to make him face hard things. But a man who's never been allowed to sit through a storm never grows through one either. He just stays numb, and you stay married to that numbness. Just today, I came across a researcher named Edith Grotberg, who defines resilience as the human capacity to deal with, overcome, learn from, or even be transformed by the inevitable adversities of life. Transformed by. That's what you actually want for your husband and for you. Not a man who dodged the storm, a man who was changed by it. One of the reasons why you want him to go through it is it will make him more present. It'll make him more aware of his surroundings instead of just finding another distraction and running away. The alternative isn't a husband who's spared pain, it's a husband who's still hiding. And the intent of being storm ready doesn't mean it's going to stop hurting for him or for you. It means he has a rhythm to stay present instead of checking out. He has people he can go to help him. And when he's actually facing his storms, he stops making you carry them. That's what changes for you. A man who's grieved his losses can finally be present with you. A man who's still running really never can be. This week, if you can, don't manage anything for him. Just notice, if something happens to hit him hard, does he face it? or does he disappear into something else? You're not fixing. You're learning to read the difference between, is your husband a man who is staying present, or is he someone who is running? And that's going to tell you a lot. Next time, I'm going to start naming specific storms one by one and what each one looks like in your marriage. So if your husband's ready, send him to stormreadymen.com to take the assessment. And for you, continue to explore the C.U.R.E. method at thecouplecure.com.